Hello, welcome into the Chicago Sports Podcast here at the CHGO studios in the West Loop. I am Kevin Kaduk, head of content at CHGO. To my left is Kacy Standohar. To her left is GM Jake Flannigan. And behind the board is Stephen Nicholas. Two of our usual panelists, Mark Carman and Lawrence Benedetto, are in Las Vegas at Super Bowl 58. So I want to thank Jake and Stephen for filling in today.
Yeah, and MJ's in the room too.
MJ, yeah.
He's everywhere.
That's the closest thing to Bulls news we've had all day.
Yeah, it's my dad's.
That's cool.
Technically.
You should put it on a little train so it kind of just rotates back and forth.
Unfortunately, I wanted to do that before the holidays, but I didn't get it until right after the holidays. But
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, it's a great addition to our set. Kind of a nice day here in Chicago. Nice weather this morning. Then it got weird, a little rainy, a little dark, but
it was windy earlier too.
I'll take it.
Well, I say that I know that. I don't know that. I was inside watching the CHGO Bears show and didn't leave my couch working. Do you feel that way? We've been cranking out a lot of stuff.
Today has been, I think, maybe the busiest day in CHGO history. I'm sure I'm forgetting something. There's been a lot of busy days, but between the NBA trade deadline, the CHGO Blackhawks having Corey Crawford on their show, everything coming out of Las Vegas. We've got this podcast, the Cubs podcast, the White Sox podcast.
So many Bulls trades.
So many Bulls trades to keep up with.
Zero.
Before they actually went on, I said, I don't want a trade to happen because I just don't want added work. Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, we've got the Hall of Fame announcement coming up, and Devin Hester, Steve McMichael, and Julius Peppers are probably getting in.
It's very exciting that we know that ahead of time because I think we'd all be kind of nervous if there was no news about Devin Hester.
But we're ready for it.
We're ready.
It's about damn time.
Yeah.
We've got graphics. We've got a Joey Spathis special to put out there.
Ooh.
Looks pretty hot.
No sneak peeks.
No sneak peeks. Don't want to jinx anything.
Right.
Steven, how you been holding through? You've been doing a lot of the production work.
This has been like hell week for me. This has been a lot, and it's in a good way though, because we're getting so much great content out of the Super Bowl. But man, for all the great content we're getting, there's that much more work that has to be done after the fact. Yeah. But we're almost there. It's Thursday. We got to get to Friday, and then
we're in the home stretch.
I hope everyone's been enjoying it. Make sure you check it out on YouTube. Make sure you check out our CHGO Tavern style videos, which is now brought to you by Salerno's on Tap, our favorite pizza, and now they're sponsoring our content, which is amazing.
Love it.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
Close spot, not far from here.
Yeah.
Good to have them on board.
We're going to be talking about a whole bunch of things today. But first, I want to do our Taking Care of Business Award, powered by ComEd. And there's probably a lot of, actually, there isn't a lot of candidates. So we're going to give it to our guys in Vegas who are crushing it. We talked about, we've got Greg Braggs getting FaceTime with Patrick Mahomes and George Kittle and Tyreek Hill. There's going to be a video of that coming out where you ask him about Devin Hester.
How about Greg? Just the bravery with Mahomes. Like, he fired a question and then he was like, I have a follow-up and another follow-up. Like, he dominated the floor.
We saw Nick behind the scenes, Hogue and Carm with a little DJ Moore walk and talk, plus Law with the producing, and then Carm the other night, underrated. It was at a actual legitimate party.
This was not a strip club.
It was, it was a little, when I first saw it, I was a little alarmed, but I appreciate the hustle.
Yeah. And you don't even mention the JSN video, which is probably the most viral clip of the entire week so far.
Crickets.
JSN. I've never seen anything like that.
I added the cricket sound in there.
4 million views so far on Twitter. I don't know how much on other platforms.
It's doing really well. I added cricket sounds in because I just feel like it enhances the moment. I think it has 94,000 views on TikTok. People are like, oh, this is great. Great news. Good for us.
Yeah, you know what I do. I try to spin things with Bears as best I can or frame it up that way to where it could be a positive. And the only thing I can say, because I want this to be true, is maybe that's just his personality. That's his humor. And he was like saying, is this thing live? Like, haha. But he was super dry about it. And I realized that's definitely not what the case is.
And I think it was his reaction before that where he looked like he almost was like,
He
had like dead eyes and he didn't know what to say.
But he also made noises that were like the literal definition of just like squirming.
Cringe.
And then Carm goes, I love when Carm goes, oh. Like you hear Carm go, oh. Yeah. Because he knows like something's not right here.
Yeah, it was like, it's the same noise that I make when my wife goes, you realize the dishwasher is full and they're clean and you did not put them away. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's that. It's it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually, I was awoken to that. I got an email. I get the daily newsletter from Matthew Berry, and I saw the headline, Awkward Moments from Radio Row. I'm like, there's no way this is us. And first thing I see on there was our
Top
video.
story.
So I love it. I love it.
It's great.
Well, I mean, we've already produced a lot of great content. More coming. We've got an After Dark show coming up tonight that will focus on the Hall of Fame inductions. And again, 3 Chicago Bears are more than likely to get in. So that's going to be pretty cool. So keep taking care of business, guys, in Vegas. We'll keep on holding down the homestead. I actually didn't know if I would rather be here or there this week.
I'd rather be there.
There is a lot of work. But
it's
here is
fun.
also a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. Both places are a lot of work. I do think it would be fun to be there and like wrangle guests and try to see who. I always like to challenge myself with that and be like, who could I go up to and just.
Well, we got to go to the Nashville Winter Meetings, which were not as
Not the same.
action-packed. I think our biggest guest was Jake Berger.
Yeah,
Stephen was there too.
Which he is a great guy. We love Jake.
It was a good interview, but
Yeah.
And
God
half
damn,
the
the news
team
would have
came
been great that week.
Half the team came home with COVID.
Yeah.
So luckily none of us.
The MLB winter meeting is only slightly worse than the NBA trade deadline as far as inactivity.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, we were at, Steven and I were at the NHL draft, which was fun and exciting. Less interviews, just more chaos. Trying to navigate that media room, and I imagine Super Bowl's that on steroids.
Well, I hear they have equally bad Wi-Fi over there
Yeah.
too. NHL draft was horrendous with Wi-Fi.
It was at 2024 and they just haven't figured out Wi-Fi.
I don't know.
Why?
It's bad.
We've all been to a big event where it's just been
Remember at the winter meetings place, they were like, it's going to be $3,000 if you want better Wi-Fi.
Oh no, it was more
We
than
were like,
that.
"What?"
It was $300 per
meg.
of upload speed.
Which would have been how much money?
$9,000.
More than CHGO
Yeah.
has, yeah.
Props to the National Collectors Convention and Ray Schulte, right? Because they had the Boingo hotspot at the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center, and that was fire. And you, I mean, and you know how many people were there? Like, it's
fire.
like, it's, how can we not have that at the Super Bowl, media row?
Fake Mark Carmen said we'd have to talk more about Caleb. Are we
I'm
going
not sure
there?
if it is fake.
No, that's not him.
I really hope that is.
I feel like that's fake
something
Mark
better.
Carmen.
If this is real, Mark Carmen, get back to work.
We got a lot more stuff to get out. All right, we're hit that like button if you're watching right now. We appreciate you tuning in, even though we're not coming at you from fabulous Las Vegas, but we're going to put on a good show for you. I just basically kind of want to talk because it's something that I've been wrestling with, guys, like the entire week. We've been putting out Caleb or Justin videos. We've been doing a lot of that. They get a lot of response, and people are consuming them, people are watching them, people are sharing them on social media. I mean, basically by any metric, it's that content is successful, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
There are people that are kind of tired of the debate and say, why are you even talking about this? And I do sympathize with that, because there was a couple times, this week where someone said something in. I said, well, let's just maybe cut something else about something else. And, that's fine. That said, like, I really don't, Super Bowl, accepted. And of course we're not going to be talking about the Super Bowl because there's not a Chicago team in that really. But, to me, there's not a bigger story in the NFL, and there's not a bigger decision, and there's not a more captivating decision, because there's pluses and minuses on both sides. So to me, it's like, I don't think you can get enough.
Well, you'll see in the video that I'm putting together to be released shortly after this show. A lot of people are torn. Some people don't know what to do. Others are like, oh, don't make me do this. Like, it was Laura Oakman specifically, and a couple other people were like,
Yeah.
It's such a tough call, especially from people from Chicago. Stacey Dales as well lives here, and she was also struggling with the decision.
Yeah, it can be difficult for some.
But not for you,
No,
Jake.
no, it's not. And I agree with you. It's a lot of content. There's a lot of engagement there. People seem to be interested in it. And I say, keep it coming. Can't have enough. We're not talking about it enough. And you know why? It's because I've had this epiphany that there's going to be a time very soon. Originally, I thought it would take more time, but I think it's going to take less. I think there's going to be a time very soon where Ryan Poles steps up and makes a trade with the Commanders and moves on from the number 1 pick.
Wow.
And I thought about this because here's what it is. Drake May's stock is only going to go up between now and the combine, or now and right after the combine. And he would, if he's going to trade it, he should do it as soon as humanly possible, in my opinion. And then originally I thought it would be later, right?
So are you going to tell me you're going to be on the double trade down bus? Is that what you're talking about?
Only if you get Marvin Harrison Jr. and you can ensure that with whoever was at 2 and then at 3. But I mean, we can go deep on this if you want, but I'll stop there for now.
Well, to make that work, you'd have to then talk the Patriots into moving up to number 2. I mean, under your scenario,
maybe not.
Was Justin a senior when Marvin was a freshman at Ohio State?
Steven, help me out there.
Did they actually play together?
I don't think so. There was not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought there was.
This was Justin would have played at Ohio State 4 seasons ago, right? And this was
because his last year was the pandemic year.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I was gonna say he would be too young. Marvin is younger.
But shockingly, as we've heard multiple times now from DJ Moore, that DJ Moore and Marvin Harrison Jr. ran in the same track program.
Wow.
Like when they were in their youth days, which is very weird. But Marvin Harrison Jr., that tells you even more that he's like 6 years younger than DJ Moore, and he's someone that DJ Moore knew about running track as like a high school senior.
Yeah.
Right.
Like what?
Outrageous talent.
What 6th or 7th grader do you know is like that good that a high school senior knows who the hell they are?
Right. Yeah, so I don't know. To me, it's like I'm just kind of waiting for this. I think what we are waiting for is the story to kind of develop a little further, right? Another rumor to kind of take it forward. And I think Adam Hogue did do a pretty good job kind of resetting the discussion on Monday morning with this column, in which he talked to some people, people who had played with Caleb Williams, some people who had coached him, and kind of really got into the fact and fiction, because last week was controlled so much by the Colin Cowherd nonsense. And things kind of take on a life of their own. And so now I just think we're either waiting for like a rumor, maybe some team to really kind of let leak we do want to move up, or we're not moving up, or what, something like that. I mean, you never know what can happen. I mean, at this time last year, we thought Jalen Carter was going to be the number 1 pick, and we saw the way that unfolded over the next 6 to 8 weeks. It definitely changed things, and so to me, it's just going to be interesting. And we've got the combine, and we'll see, I'm sure everything's going to come with that. There's always stuff. This person doesn't measure up to this level in hands or speed or what. So we're not done with the story. I think when people say they're tired, I think they're just kind of tired. We've already heard the main talking points. We've heard the benefits of having a rookie contract. We've heard the benefits, of continuity and not losing the locker room. We've seen it from the situation as it is from all angles right now, and now it needs to change almost a little bit.
Yeah.
I agree. I originally didn't love, I know we did a video with Tony Romo. Originally wasn't a fan of his response. It felt very like, well, of course they're going to review all options and Ryan Poles is going to decide what he wants to do. But it does make sense. There's still, like you said, Kev, there's a lot left to be researched, looked at, thought about from the Bears front office and ownership. So I was like, well, yeah, like Ryan Poles is going to do all those things, Tony.
He will. And you know what? He may decide to draft Caleb Williams number 1 overall. And talking to one of our diehards at the Bulls takeover on Tuesday night, shout out Larry Strickland. You were awesome. He phrased it a great way. I will accept it if it occurs. And that's how I feel right now. Like eventually I will accept it.
That's what DJ Moore said today to Adam. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you trust.
Yeah,
Poles.
Exactly. Right now, I don't feel like it's the best path for the Bears to win a Super Bowl the soonest. And that's where I feel like Justin Fields fits in. The one thing that processed me was when Albert Breer was on our show Monday. He said something that was more subtle, but it really stuck out to me. And he didn't say this specifically, but I was trying to put it together and weave what I'm gonna weave, right? And what I gathered here is this: everyone's always saying like, "Oh, you gotta reset the clock, right? It's all about the salary cap. You can't go with Fields, blah blah blah, right?" Here's the deal: you can build around Fields. And if you use these premium draft picks that you're going to acquire from trading down for this draft and the next draft on the positions that cost the most in free agency, that would be a left tackle, that would be a wide receiver, that would be an edge rusher, then it's going to offset costs anyway over the course of the next 3 or 4 seasons. And
Right.
it really won't matter that much, especially as you get to like year 4 or 5 of Justin's new deal. And if you look at the salary cap and you look at everything that's there, the Bears are still in a very good position, even after they signed Sweat last year after the trade, like into the extension. So like we are in the best position in the division to succeed over the course of the next 3 to 4 years. And the Lions, shockingly, are the second best team position with the salary cap. And I didn't know
I
that.
agree on all that, but it's still, you still want as much flexibility as you can get with the cap, and you're still going to get that. You can't, I completely understand with that, and I've thought about that. Another thing Albert Breer also said is I've talked to people, and people say that Caleb is in a class with Peyton Manning, and Andrew Luck, and Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
So it's a hard decision. It really is.
Yeah.
But yeah. So,
And yet still no Heisman Trophy winning quarterback has ever won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Since in the last 35 years, since Jim Plunkett and I think Roger Staubach. So it's been 30, 35, 40 years now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do you feel like, what does that say? That the quarterback position in collegiate athletics doesn't always translate
no Ohio
to
State
success
quarterback could ever produce.
I know.
in the NFL.
So I was getting ready to say
no Michigan quarterback could ever,
it's true. It's true.
I know.
There's two, like Justin Fields, is he going to be the first Ohio State quarterback to do it, or it's going to be the first?
Stroud.
Yeah, right. If he beats him, I don't know. It's a feeling I have with Fields. Like I've said to you many times and to other people. Personally, I feel like Justin Fields is the most dynamic Bears player since Walter Payton. And when you see that type of player, I didn't say quarterback, and I'm not focused on everything that goes with that. And I understand why you need to. But to me, it's crazy that you go that route. And I get it. Caleb Williams seems like a surefire generational talent. But guess what? How many times have you heard this player is going to be a surefire generational talent at quarterback? Let's draft him number 1 overall. And he flops. And I wanted to have an expletive there, but I kept it PG.
Johnny Manziel?
Yeah,
I think
your factory of sadness was created and built on that.
But I think like both camps are really rooted in just a fear and being terrified of what it would mean to go with the other side.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
For me, and I'm leaning a little bit more towards Caleb now because I'm just kind of terrified of passing up on another Patrick Mahomes. Whether or not that's true, but
You're also terrified of the same type of season we just had.
Yeah.
Again. That's how I feel.
Right.
Of like less progress.
Yeah.
Same stagnant type of feeling.
Right.
No, I think like if Justin Fields stays, I think they do make a jump next year. I mean, I think you'd be bringing in so much good stuff. So I'm not really necessarily worried about that. I'm not necessarily worried about 2024.
Yeah.
I'm worried about 2025 through 2030.
And I get that completely. And I want to be clear too. I don't care if I'm right or wrong. There is a very good chance I could be wrong.
Yeah.
And I get that. It's just I'm going off of what I feel is best for the Bears on that path to the Super Bowl, and what's best for the locker room right now, and what's best for just based on seeing a lot of Bears football for my whole life. Like that, this is what I want to happen. I also realize that what I want to happen for Bears, the Bears organization, oftentimes does not, right? So
Doesn't come to play.
yeah, that's right. So I understand that, and if the other way, the other scenario plays out with Caleb Williams being the quarterback, like I said, I will learn to accept it, and if it ends up being great for the Bears, like great. And some people say, oh, you're flip-flopping or what. It's not that. I don't get, like I'm saying, like too bad. And I don't care that I put myself out there that I am all for, I'm a Justin stan, I'm Team Justin all the way. And at one point, like if that becomes a scenario that I can't be on Team Justin because he's not on Team Bears, then I'm going to be on Team Caleb. And I don't care what people say. Like it's just how it has to be.
One thing that annoyed me this week was people getting on us like, why are you asking Patrick Mahomes about this or whatever? It's like, we've got guys there. Like, we want, like, why, like someone on Twitter was like, why are you asking a guy who beat us 41-0? It was like 41-0 when Mahomes left the game. why are you asking him about what they should do with the quarterback? Like, well, who else would you ask?
Right.
Like,
Also,
to me,
these
he
guys-
seems pretty damn qualified.
These guys
certainly a lot
pay
more qualified than I
attention.
am.
These
Yeah.
guys pay attention to what's going on around the
Yeah.
league. They care. They know
Right.
each other. They
Right.
give a shit. So like, of course, why not ask?
Right. Why did Oppenheimer consult with Einstein, right? Why did Ken consult with Barbie? Like, you do that with greatness. When you're next to greatness, you want their expert opinion.
Right. George Kittle's a Bears fan, so why wouldn't
true.
you ask him?
That video, that was
Yeah, I
crazy.
think other than obviously on Twitter, our Jackson Smith and Jigba video, I think that's been our biggest video this
Yeah.
week.
I want
It's been
George
awesome.
Kittle to one day have a job at CHGO. I think it would be amazing.
That'd be
But
great.
I think George Kittle's going to one day have a job next to Terry Bradshaw. I think he's that good.
He could, yeah.
He's a fun personality too. You see, he's like I don't know if there's anyone at the Super Bowl right now more inclined to talking with the media. He just has such a casual demeanor about
I
himself.
love the he's approachable. He's funny. He's also has like a very kind of like early Dwayne the Rock Johnson, just a way of speaking with his face. Like his facial expressions are
great
next
expressions.
level.
I've also yet to meet someone, and maybe they're out there, so whatever. But who has a Heath Ledger Joker tattoo that I don't like? It's George Kittle and DeMar DeRozan at this point for me. They both do, and they're both, I think, like great character, great team guys, great personalities. I know DeMar's a little quiet, but he's the king in the fourth.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about the Bulls here in a little bit. But first, are you looking for a super offer for Super Bowl 58?
Yeah.
DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered. New customers can bet on the big game and turn $5 into $200 instantly in bonus bets. Make sure you check out DraftKings Sportsbook right now for all the available lines and odds. I know they have like a ton of great bets, a lot of good prop bets. I'm sure I'm going to get on there and,
I'll have one good one for you during the show.
Do you? Okay. Yeah. Well, what do you got? Give me one
right now?
Yeah.
All right. What color do the San Francisco 49ers wear?
Red.
What color do the Chiefs wear?
Red.
What's Taylor Swift's album called?
Red.
What color is the Gatorade going to be?
Blue.
Red.
Now, Jake, you messed it up.
Oh, sorry, red. Red. My bad.
Yeah, I'm going to bet on red Gatorade.
Are you?
I like
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Well, did I mess it up for enhance?
I
If
thought
you
it
wanna
was
bet-
going to be a trick question.
If you want to bet on the Gatorade color, you can download the DraftKings Sportsbook now and use code CHGO. New customers can bet $5 on that Gatorade color and get $200 instantly in bonus bets only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 58 with code CHGO. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in West Virginia. Call or visit www.1800gambler.net. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please pay responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/football for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources.
Those of
Guys.
you still with us, Kacy?
Yeah. I like how you said DKNG. DKNG.
DKNG.
It's hard when you have to say letters and they all sound the same.
Yeah.
3,000
shit.
words.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. Are Super Bowl tickets on GameTime? Do we know? Can you buy a Super Bowl ticket on GameTime? Because they're our next partner, and I have used GameTime several times to buy tickets in the city of Chicago for comedians. I love going to see stand-up comedy at the Chicago Theater, at other theaters around the city. And I think that it's so frustrating when you're paying all these extra fees and it's hard to find seats that you want. You're not able to see the view from the seat. But GameTime, with that, you don't have to worry about all of that stuff when you're buying tickets to your next event. It's a fast, easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, theater events near you. They have killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, which I love, especially when you're at Wrigley and you get that seat with the bar in front of it.
Yeah.
Always a bad day.
The post
Yeah.
yeah.
And their best price guarantee. GameTime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Again, there's flash deals, there's zone deals. You can get last minute tickets, views from the seat, lowest price guarantee. It's the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. See the view from your seat before you buy. You know exactly what to expect when you arrive. You could buy tickets in seconds with just 2 taps. Again,
Right now, lower end zone 143, all in $8,833. I know what you're thinking. That's pretty expensive. It's actually pretty cheap to see Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
That it really is. I saw
When you
tickets
put it like that, you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Kacy.
She will be there 100%. She was in Tokyo and then flying all the way here. But Game Time, again, they have those deals. The guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section or row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% the difference. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
So last night, the Blackhawks, for some reason, their game started at 8:45.
Yeah.
And I was wondering what the ticket prices, what were looking like. And at 8:30, I looked at Game Time. You could sit in the 200 level for $15 all in.
Wow.
And you could get home at 1:30 too. Ugh.
Yeah, you poor bastards.
Yeah,
How much was it?
$15 to sit in the 200 level. I mean, usually those are $150, $200 face
Mm-hmm.
value seats. So
Just saw it's 444. Shout out Justin Nizuka. It's an inside
444.
thing. There we go. It's a
Angel
good thing.
numbers.
It's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
what's up, Justin? All right, let's talk about the Bulls. Today was the NBA trade deadline, and the Bulls, for the third straight year, did absolutely nothing. We had to sit here as the CHO Bulls said basically imploded. I was worried for the mental health of Big Dave and Matt Peck. And then Big Dave and Luke did a pretty good tavern style on the subject. Go check that out. But they are not well. Every team basically in front of them improved their team, made a trade, and the Bulls again did nothing.
AK, listen, I'm sure you're a fine dude, and I wish you nothing but success in your professional career, but just flat out you're wrong in this situation. It's pretty pathetic, really, that you go multiple trade deadlines in a row and you don't do anything, and this fan base wants more, and you do have a good to great solid roster that could be really good, and it just hasn't worked out. The Zach LaVine situation, I understand, it completely derails the situation, right? Like the trade demand, then the injury, then he comes back, and then it's serious injury now when he's going to have surgery. So you take that off the table. But this gentleman, okay, Kevin, this gentleman and Kacy just went on, and said this in a press conference. He said, if you look at all the teams, they're all stacked up there together, right? The Bulls trail the Magic, the Heat, and the Indiana Pacers. The Pacers currently sit in 6th place. If we go the rest of the way and those teams basically play 500 ball, the Bulls are going to have to go 21-10 just to be in 6th place in the playoffs. And that's just if those teams go 500. So whatever crazy world you're in right now, and that's your scenario for success, like someone needs to have a discussion with you. Like this is not acceptable, but I get it. If you're going to make massive changes in the offseason and build around Kobe and figure out what is what for the next, 5 or 10 years, good luck. But I fear that it may be too late.
Absolutely. I mean, I just think we've been living in this purgatory as Bulls fans for so long. I mean, there was a little brief, break with the very brief Derrick Rose era.
Yeah.
At least the peak of the Derrick Rose era. And, they've put together teams and they've gone out there and they've won between 30 and 40 games. And they've had some moments where Zach LaVine has taken over a game and DeMar DeRozan has taken over a game, and the Jimmy Butler era was fun. But they've just been the definition of mediocre, and they've never really been a great team. It's never been a well-constructed team. No. It's never, to me, the NBA is interesting because you're generally, it's changed a little bit in the last 10 years, but it's been a league of stars. And unless you've had a handful of stars and Steph Curry or LeBron James was on your team,
You have to.
You were basically going to a game just to kind of appreciate it for what it, is or was.
Yeah.
And even with this team, I like watching Kobe, and I think watching his rise has been fun. But to me, it's still not anything that's really worth going out and paying NBA prices for.
Yeah, I get that. Like, he's still developing. He needs more around him, no doubt. But here's the thing. I saw this.
But how do you get from there? How do you get from what Kobe again, Kobe White, I don't think is ever going to be your alpha dog.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's a great player, and I think
Sure.
Exactly the type of player you want to have as part of your plan. But then, how do you get the other? I mean, how many pieces are they away? I mean, they're 5, 6, 7 pieces away. Like,
Yeah, the
and you're
problem is
looking
the
at you
age.
signed Vooch to a long-term deal,
Yeah,
and you're
mistake.
looking at the same to do for DeMar.
No.
And you're already locked up, Zach.
No.
It's just
Yeah,
it's purgatory.
You're compounding the issue by doing exactly what you just said. The Vooch deal was not good from the start, and then by not moving him, you make it worse, in my opinion. DeMar is great, right? But he is aging rapidly, and he's not a player you can build around anymore. And he knows that too. And then what you said with Zach, I get it. You sign him to the max because you do that, and then you have that value, and you can move him. But then when you don't, and he gets injured again, and he has to have surgery, it totally screws everything up. But I saw something on social. It was, I think Derrick Rose was traded in 2016. Jimmy Butler was traded in 2017, and in the 7 seasons since, the Bulls have not won a playoff series. Like what are we doing here?
Right.
And then they had Larry Markkinen, who would be a perfect combination, a complementary player to what Kobe White does, and you get rid of him and you trade. Those are the kind of things that just it makes you infuriated with this organization, and I get it. It's why Matt Peck throws hats, at a very high rate.
Right. And to me, it's just, I just think they're the Chicago team that's the farthest away. I mean, I think the White Sox are probably more poorly run, but I think when you kind of look at the way baseball is set up and the division that they play in, okay, well, it's a little easier, and I use the term relatively, it's a little easier to see them getting into the playoffs, and then somehow you make a magical run, or maybe something akin to like what the Diamondbacks just did.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bulls, it's like, what would have to happen for them to even win a playoff series, let alone multiple series?
Right. If they play the Bucks a lot, which that's kind of been the issue, and right, if you're not in, that top half of the conference, like, you're effed, and like what are you doing? And that's to the point that I was making earlier. Like, if you're just fighting to be the 6th seed, and and it's a long shot to get there anyway, like, they may do that, but it's probably not going to happen. But that should not be the definition of success.
Yeah. I guess the good news is like you look at the Bucks. It's like, okay, well, they were able to hit on an international prospect midway through the first round, right? The top of the conference, with the exception of the 76ers, who obviously have their own problems now.
Right.
Most of them were not built with number 1 picks or like these generational superstars. It was like finding guys in the mid-round who turned into generational superstars, right?
You're saying with the Eastern Conference?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Jalen Tate,
number 4 pick.
I'm sorry,
Number 3 or number
Jason
4?
Tatum and Jalen Brown. I said Jalen Tate, who's a Simeon high school player that went to Illinois. Those two are legit, but yeah, besides that, it's actually teams that made trades for those, trying to identify those players that you're saying, like, whether it's Mitchell for the Cavs or it's Halliburton for the Pacers.
And look at what Jalen Brunson has become for the Knicks.
Same deal, right? It's what we just talked about. You have to identify that player that you can build around. And the thing with the Bucks and Giannis is it took him 3 or 4 seasons before he became that guy.
Right.
And, you're going to have to get really lucky because of the position that you're in. You didn't have the draft pick last year in the first round. You got a draft pick this year that's going to be pretty late, middle of the pack, right? Mm-hmm. And then next year you don't have one, more than likely, because of the situation with the DeMar trade with the Spurs. So it's not like, hey, look at the draft. It could be our saving grace. Like, we can find that person, and it's probably not going to happen. But so then, okay, let's go to free agency. What do you do? There's not a lot of great options there either. And
none of them want to come to Chicago, even if there are.
And traditionally, that has been the case. That's
and
right.
no one wants to pay the luxury tax to get those guys.
Which is why we had an issue with the draft pick last year, because you had to trade to get Vooch and you had to trade to get DeMar. So it's still, again, we're just stacking L's on top of L's when it comes to the organization, and that's not going to do it. Their only hope, this is going to blow your mind, is LeBron James. That's where I'm at now.
No.
And I know, I'm with you.
We're not doing it.
I think
he's the villain. That's what he is.
I understand.
You hate LeBron, Steven.
I hate LeBron.
I understand. But like, I really believe that may be their only hope. And for me, it was always Giannis. And then, of course, the Bucks traded and got Dame Lillard. And I'm like, well, there goes that. Giannis is, and then he re-upped, right? So Giannis is stuck in Milwaukee. forever now, and he can't come to Chicago after next season. So now our best bet is to literally draft LeBron's kid in 2 years and have LeBron come here. And that's just silly. I don't want that to happen.
I just feel bad for our Bulls team.
I feel bad for them too. One of my good friends is in Detroit working for the Pistons, and they're all upset over there. They traded like 2 of their best guys to the Knicks.
It's not great.
And
they had to they actually had to sit through how many games did they lose in a row?
Oh, it was like 14 or something?
No, it was like 23.
Was it more?
Yeah.
I guess I lost track.
You know what
at
the
14.
sad thing is, though? I would rather be in the Pistons position right now. They're the worst team in the NBA. I would rather be the Detroit Pistons right now. At least they have Cade Cunningham. What do we have?
Yeah.
We have
Kobe.
A fringe all-star Kobe White. Cade Cunningham is a future superstar in the game.
Yeah, he's very good.
You'd have to live in Detroit, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I don't want to live there. I would like to
Jason
transplant their team here, and we could just send the entire Bulls team over there. They could figure out how to pay Vucevic and Levine.
Gary, you need 3-point shooting. They are 2 of their best guys. Gary and I are fighting. We have a love-hate relationship. I'm just kidding.
Well, I'm Gary. I'll have to look more into the details, but at the face value, I'm going to go with Kacy on this. I mean, you need 3-point shooting if you're going to compete in today's NBA. But yeah, I mean, they're not competing anyway. So, but at least they're making trades. That's the point, and they have a high draft pick, and they're going to have an even higher draft pick because they are, for all intents. I'm not going to say that. You shouldn't say that. They are doing a light tank.
So I like the scroll suggestion here. He says, trade for LaMelo, sign LiAngelo, and give LeVar courtside seats. My question for that would be, then do you change your name to the Chicago Balls?
If it meant a playoff series victory, I'd do it.
Great logo ideas.
Not with LiAngelo out there, I'll tell you that much. Yeah.
Great logos.
Oh, no.
All right, Kacy, I want to tell you it's getting easier for businesses to switch to electric vehicles. That's something we can all get behind for the health of the planet and for the well-being of all of us who share it.
Yes, it is. And I am not there yet. Yes, the electric grid is evolving to meet your cleaner energy needs as we all move with confidence toward an electric tomorrow. Whether you have one delivery van or a whole fleet of shipping trucks, ComEd can help guide you to make the changes that make sense.
So what should business owners do?
You can go to ComEd.com/clean to learn more about the resources, fleet rebates, and infrastructure incentives available to help businesses go electric. If you own a business, don't wait. Start making your plan today to switch to electric vehicles. It's good for business, good for the planet, good for all of us. Go to ComEd.com/clean.
Did you say ComEd.com/clean?
Yeah, Kev. Go now and see how going electric connects us to a better way of doing business and a better future for generations to come.
Awesome. I want to talk about 2 different things, and they have to do with ballparks. I'll give you the choice. You want to start off with the Winter Classic or the new Sox ballpark, the renderings that come out?
Ooh, let's start off with Winter Classic.
All right, Winter Classic. So we had a good CHGO Tavern style in which Vinny Duber and Mario Tirabassi kind of talked about the situation from a variety of angles. One of the things they kind of talked about was, should it be in Wrigley Field? They actually had the last Winter Classic here at Wrigley Field. They're going back to it again. Vinny made the suggestion, like, we've already done it there. Let's mix it up. We've seen the stadiums done in baseball stadium, ballparks, football stadiums. Why not build something out in Grant Park and have the backdrop or whatever? So where do you guys fall on it?
Well, Wrigley Field is a historic landmark. Just ask Cody Del Mendo. It's a federal landmark. And Connor Bedard is the biggest and best story we have here right now. Mm-hmm. And honestly, in the entire NHL. So I like what Vinny and Mario were saying. I'm going to double down on what they were saying. It's like, it's going to work.
Yeah.
They're going to sell tickets. People love coming to Wrigley. When I worked there one summer, it was like people came from all over the world. I mean, they sell out 120 games on weekdays every single time. This is going to be no different.
Right.
People love seeing hockey in baseball or football in a baseball, like the Northwestern game at Wrigley. Like, yeah. I just, like, why not? I know the Blackhawks aren't in a position to be like this marquee game, but it's going to be huge.
Yeah, I think Wrigley Field, I honestly think Wrigley Field is the only option here. I really do. I think the sight lines, I think like how it looks on TV matters a great deal. I went to the one in 2009, and that was renovation Wrigley. It was before.
Is it cool?
It was super cold. It It was very cool.
I mean, was it cool?
Oh, was it cool?
And cold.
It was cool. The Blackhawks lost, and I still remember, like, I can't wait to do it again. And I can't believe it's going to take 16 years to be able to do it again. But like, I will be first in line for tickets again.
We, my wife and I went to the first one. It was before we were married. We were still dating, and it was one of the coldest days of the year. And we actually had to walk from Wrigley back to Lincoln Park. It was after the game because you couldn't get.
There was no Uber. It was before Uber.
That's right. It was a great experience, though, to your point. My buddy hooked me up big time because he goes, hey, go to this link. They're saying that these seats in the 100 level, because they're so low, you can't, they're technically obstructed view. So I can't even tell you, it was under $50. It was crazy. Wow. And we were like 15 rows off the field because you couldn't see this corner at the nearest, by the net, in this corner of the boards there. And I was like, it was amazing. And it was right before the run, right? Like this was like right as everyone's getting, not everyone.
It was the kickoff party for the
bandwagoners like me, for sure. Yeah.
Was the infrastructure, I mean, I know they're set up to do it because they can take out those seats near the one dugout on the third base side. When I went to the Purdue Northwestern game at Wrigley, and it was kind of like cornered, like it's kind of like shifted. So if you're at those seats down the first base side, you're kind of far away from the field because you're like, it's like this way.
We were in like 223. Is that right behind home plate? We were right behind home plate, kind of halfway up.
That was probably
and it was, I mean, they were okay seats. Like you couldn't really see the puck, which kind of made a big difference. But now it'll be different that was again before the video boards.
Yeah.
And the lighting. Lighting's different now too.
Yeah, and the renovations, like that's the other thing. Like I think there's probably not too many bad seats in the house now. Now with all the renovations too, and like the grade of the field and everything. I'll just say this from earlier. You said federal landmark. I mean, Wrigley Field is a national treasure. It's a Chicago treasure, and it has special meaning to me because not only do the Cubs play there, but of course the Bears played there. Up until 1970, I believe, which is a huge part of Chicago history. And I love that the Blackhawks played there before. They're going to play there again. And I think there's something about that place where Butkus and Sayers was and Hallis marched up and down the sidelines.
It would be amazing really cool if they could figure out a way for the Bears. It would never happen, but if they could get a Bears game, it would be so awesome.
Very exclusive.
Yeah. I mean, the NFL doesn't have to do that.
They missed their chance. Like if Wrigley would have been... It would have been awesome if Wrigley would have been renovated before they renovated Soldier Field in 2001, 2. Like maybe that would have been their shot. But they just
couldn't do happen. It. There was the concrete falling and all that right around that.
Now it's great though. We love Wrigley Field.
No, I agree with you though, Jake. It's like there's nostalgia involved in all of that.
Yeah,
and so why not? Yeah, I think it's going to be cool.
Winter Classic. That was a very cold day, and I remember going into the bathroom, and they've got the troughs there. Yeah. The guy next to me had his.
Is this okay to tell?
Yeah, I'm wondering where this is going.
Is this
Chicago balls?
The guy next to me had his glove. He was holding his gloves in his teeth, and somehow dropped them, and the gloves went into the trough, and like you could just tell the guy was like, "Oh shit," and the guy next to him just goes, "Sorry, man, they're gone."
Oh man!
I mean, you could like grab it and rinse it out with the pee.
It was honestly like
Moises
Alou. You cannot do that. No, but it was like that guy is going to be in a world of pain because it was so cold.
It really was. Wow. I did like Vinny Duber's ideas though about having a rink like let's say along the lakefront there. Grant Park, Millennium Park area, or near like Buckingham Fountain, and have that sky. Like that would be really cool. But I'm all for just hey, it's Wrigley right now.
It's a great idea. It's just it would never happen.
It's not Lollapalooza.
I'll tell you one thing. Like thing. Those seats, like in the front of the upper deck, like those seats go for like a face value of like $350 to $400. So there's just no way they're giving up 40,000 seats for a photo opportunity.
Right. So. Well, maybe they'll do it for some other thing.
So renderings are out for the new White Sox ballpark, and the one thing that everyone noticed and was complaining about was where is the parking?
Yeah,
which is very Chicago and maybe also a very suburban thing to say.
Who's got dibs?
Thoughts on maybe I don't know. Are you worried about actually getting into a White Sox game with where it would be situated?
I'm not personally, because if you really look at where it is located there in the 78, like. And the water taxi is also a fine option there if you're taking Metra to or Amtrak, depending on where you're getting into Union Station or Ogilvie. So then you could hop right on the water taxi, come down, do that sort of thing. I'm sure they'll have some great like buses that they do like United Center. Like when we came out of the game the other night, it's like there's 10 buses just lined up out there and empty, ready to go right down Madison Street heading east. Like I'm sure they'll do the same thing there for people, that are nearby. And I'm sure there's going to be some smart businessmen and women who build parking garages and take advantage of things.
There's already a lot there.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, if you look at Spot Hero, everything comes up.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. To me, I think somebody has made the points. It's like it's 2024. Like we should not. It's not like the 70s where everything was surface lots.
Yeah.
Like we kind of want to decrease the dependency on cars, not increase it.
I would also say this, that everyone's worried about what's going on in the ballpark. Like think about all the things that have to be done with the ballpark and that little mini ballpark village area. Mm-hmm. There's 5 or 6 years to figure that out. Like I think they can figure out a parking structure.
If your complaint is about guaranteed rate is there's not enough stuff to do around the ballpark,
yes,
which is a very valid complaint. And the reason that is because Jerry Reinsdorf wants those parking lots and has shut down any attempts to develop anything around there. So like this is kind of the trade-off.
Yeah.
You guys, I don't like it.
Well, I mean, it's just a starting point. The actual rendering.
It does look cool, like from the aerial views, like in the city. And I do like the shot that they imagined inside, like with the Trump Tower and all
that. To me,
like,
it's like where is the exploding scoreboard?
Yeah,
but it's like the first rendering.
Do you know what this reminds me of? And this is going to sound dumb, but it feels like when I lived in Columbus. It feels like small city, like Columbus Clippers, right kind of like smack down in the downtown. Like I do like it. I guess I'm just like I'm used to what I've.
It's a very low slung park.
I think that's what it's just throwing me off.
Yeah.
I'm sure it would be beautiful though.
I mean, I think the White Sox have proven that they know how to create a phenomenal ballpark experience when it comes to food and the quality of the ballpark. There's been some entry.
I would say they're good at
issues.
food, and that's
so
about
good
it.
There's been some entry exit issues. I get that, but I would trust that this ballpark would be an amazing experience in a better location to get to with more stuff around it, and would probably be an economic boost. But I care more about what happens on the field than I do about all of this. And they need to start, building in that direction. I mean, they've got these renderings with the 2005 World Series, pile up there. And that was a long time ago. Like, so they've got to get this team right because, I mean, this fan base has sat through, you have sat through, and many people, your dad, right, have sat through.
My dad has a brick at the, we bought my dad a brick at the ballpark. So I'm guessing that's not going to get switched over.
Right. Yeah, that is going to be, maybe you can get it.
I'm going to go dig it out.
Yeah, exactly. You should be able to. But like, it's one thing when you sit through a rebuild and it doesn't work out. When you sit through multiple rebuilds and it doesn't come to fruition in the way in which you want it to, whether that's at least having some, ALS appearances or an ALCS appearances, or World Series appearances or World Series titles, multiple, right? That's what you want to do. If it doesn't come to fruition and you've done multiple rebuilds and went through that as a fan base, that's tough. That's really difficult. And I think that's what's kind of wearing right now on Matt Peck when it comes to the Bulls.
Yeah.
Right? At some point you reach your breaking point.
What's interesting to me is like, what would this actually mean for the actual culture of the White Sox? Does it just kind of change what being a White Sox fan means? Because so much of it was, about, I mean, they've been at the corner of 35th and Shields for 130 years or whatever.
I think that's my problem with it. It like changes the identity of the White Sox a little bit.
If you get rid of the exciting scoreboard and you don't have the fireworks and it
just changes like Southside energy for me. It feels too perfect.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I mean, that would make it would actually say we're moving away from being a Southside team and we're more of a downtown team and we're going to attract different people.
Yeah.
Don't you think that would that
original
that OG Southsiders would take offense to that?
Absolutely.
Not love
I mean,
that?
People are like, well, I like tailgating. Tailgating's going to go away.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's definitely a trade-off.
People are going to hang out at City Winery and then go to the White Sox game.
Right.
I don't know. It's just weird.
Everyone's saying like the Metro though is like easily accessible. It's like it's still a hike.
It is, but that's where the water taxi, I think, and other shuttles would come into play. But
you'd
it's
have
not
to figure
perfect.
that out.
Mm-hmm. But I will say that here's the thing: if the White Sox win and play quality baseball and they care and they're doing things the right way, people show up to that ballpark and people care about the White Sox and that's a thing. And so like they do that, it's not going to matter where it is. But if it means that they're not going to be in Nashville or some other stupid city and they're still here in Chicago, then you move and you take the new ballpark and you hope that the team builds under Getz and that, 5 years from now, you're like, here we go. We're opening a new ballpark next season and we just won a World Series. Like that's what you want. And it could happen, but
I don't think
it feels like it's a ways away. I get it.
That's not. I don't know. I try to be optimistic.
I just don't know why a new stadium is top of the agenda right now.
Sure.
Can't you just invest that in the team? I mean, you're talking about $800 million here. That gets you Shohei Ohtani. I'm not saying they were ever going to even be in that sweepstakes, but if you're willing to pay something like that, why not just put it to the on-field product? And then you're going to see attendance skyrocket again like it used to, post 2005 and, 2006, really, 2007, they were bad. I would rather see an investment in the team than trying to do all this auxiliary stuff to make you excited about something new and shiny.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right now it's Luis Robert, and that's it moving forward.
Yeah, and they just don't do things well. It's not a well-run organization. They don't invest in minor league systems. Well, I don't know if you were the producer on one of the Sox shows, but they kind of went through so Colson Montgomery is in the top 10.
Yeah.
If you go back and look,
really good.
If you go back and look at the last 25 years, there's only been 6 or 7 other guys who have been that highly rated prospects of coming out.
And ironically, those guys are currently on the team.
Right.
It's Yoan Moncada, it's Eloy Jimenez, it's Luis Robert. Those are your main guys.
Yeah, it was John Rock and it wasn't guys who have really come up and been. Yoan Moncada's had his moments. Eloy Jimenez has had his moments, but
Brian Anderson.
Was Brian Anderson?
No, probably not. I don't know. It was just me talking.
Gary said they spelled Chicago wrong in the drawings. I didn't see that. Where?
Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah. By the way, so these renderings are out. Do you guys remember when the renderings of the new Texas ballpark came out? It's wow, that thing looks really cool. And then they debuted it. And it would look like a shitty barbecue grill.
It's like going to the auto show. You get these crazy concept cars, oh man, I can't wait for that. And then you see the car, and it's that looks like a regular car. That's how some of these renderings turn out to be, especially in the early phases of them.
They do have the pinwheels, though.
You have their I don't know.
You don't like
fireworks sticks.
Things do change, and that's what I may have to accept with Caleb Williams and the Bears. I don't want that,
Isn't
but
it
I'll
fireworks
accept it.
Now?
So
yeah.
So what looks different about that?
Where it's on the scoreboard.
Oh,
yeah.
It's not on top.
Yeah.
Right.
I see.
Placement, hey, when it comes to nostalgia, things
Those
are
look
important.
Sparklers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if it means they'll win back-to-back World Series titles, are you for it?
Of course.
Okay. Well, then.
I just don't know if it leads to that.
Well,
I don't know how no fireworks would lead to back-to-back World Series titles.
Yeah. They're going to have to hit some home runs.
No one wins back-to-back World Series titles anymore.
That's true. But what if they did? But what if I told you that pinwheels were lying?
All right. We got to plow through a whole bunch of content. We got to get ready for the Hall of Fame announcement here soon. Make sure you check out Bears After Dark live from Las Vegas. They'll be talking about Devin Hester, Steve McMichael, Julius Peppers. Fingers crossed. Jake, thanks for stopping by.
Yep.
Steven, thanks for filling in. Kacy, thanks for being here.
Hey, always.
All right.
Thanks, guys. Good
See you
show.
next time on the Chicago Sports Podcast.
Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.